Welcome back to episode 29. Clearly, I'm not on a boat, but I'm in just as nice of a place. Anyways, in this episode, we get to Hanko in Finland, we get to Helsinki, we have some problems with our rigging, but it all turns out well. See you soon.
Somewhere beyond the sea.
Welcome back to our Finland episode, the first of two. By the way, if you can help us out with a like, or even say hello in the comments, we'd really appreciate it. It costs you nothing, zero, just a little bit of your time, but it helps us because the algorithm looks at those responses and then decides to send it out to even more people. And we might find some more people who are interested in our adventures if we get a few thumbs up and a few comments. Today, we'll talk about a rigging adventure and the great help that we received in the next episode. No one accomplishes their greatest adventures alone, and we fully acknowledge the helpers of Helsinki. So, we've made it across the Gulf of Bothnia. We've been welcomed officially, and we'll spend a few days in Mariehamn. The Aland Sailing School is right here on our dock, and we meet a few of their graduates, and they are also helpful. It's a big sailing school, and like many sailing schools, they start the kids off in the opties, and then they keep growing them into larger and larger boats. And we saw all the way up through the adult racing while we were here.
This is Aland. It is July 15th. Pretty sunny day here. We've had a successful shopping day. We'll be able to fix the anchor maybe. Hopefully. Get to recharge my life jacket properly. Got the maps for the Garmin. We'll be able to load that this afternoon. And we're going to have a survey done tomorrow. And then maybe we'll get to go see the castle. Maybe we won't. We'll see. Well, it's a lovely town. 30,000 people live here in this country of Åland, which is part of Finland. In this city of Mariehamn, there are about 14,000 people. So half of the population of this country live right here.
And there are two large marinas, one on either side of this little narrow peninsula. Isn't it? We took the wrong road.
Yeah.
The Bob Ross walk. Happy little accident.
Happy little accident. The bicyclers here are a little scary though. They don't all have the little bell, and they come whizzing past you.
And half of them are on their phone.
And yeah.
This country has one castle. Kastelholm, the first castle in Sweden. It was at its heyday in the 1500s during the reign of the Swedish king Gustaf Vasa.
Here we go. Into Kastelholm.
Yes, that Vasa, the namesake of the great ship Vasa that we visited last in episode 28.
I think he wants us to go this way.
The castle began with two wooden structures in the 14th century and was enlarged and fortified over the next 4 centuries. We saw some of the very earliest structures' foundations.
This is where they built on top of the original courtyard. Earliest traces of human activity.
And then all the way up to the final building. It is an impressive structure, initiated before the days of gunpowder, and it was very effective against longbows, catapults, and trebuchets.
This is a huge castle area. Wow.
Later, the fortifications were improved to also protect from firearms and cannons.
This looks like this may be the origin of the well.
Every castle needed a source of fresh water to withstand the inevitable sieges. This timeline describes the history of the site from 1388 through to the current day, with Gustaf Vasa's reign somewhere in the middle, around the 1500s. Similar timing a little bit after Henry VIII, for perspective. And then it finishes with the modern acquisition by the Åland government and its first designation as a museum in 1933. It's been a seat of local government, a judiciary, including involvement in witch trials. It's been a prison and even a granary. A windowless dungeon was under the floor of the Cure Tower. Prisoners in the 15th century were lowered through the floor. No windows, no doors, no comforts. Miserable. Stone floor, stone walls. horrendous. Witch trials began in April of 1666. An odd number, 666, April of 1666. A beggar and fortune teller, Karen, was the first to confess. She did so under torture, and she also identified another 13 women as witches. Karen was beheaded and burned, along with 6 other women, the last of which was in 1670. This went on for 4 years. There is quite a commanding view of the countryside from the top of this tower. The upper floors of the castle were occupied by royal apartments. The walls were insulated with straw, and then they were plastered, creating a comfortable but high fire risk space. In fact, the castle eventually burned in 1745 and became nearly a ruin. Here on the ceiling, they display the coats of arms of the castle's families over the centuries. Most of this time, Aland was part of the Swedish kingdom, but at different times it was occupied by the Danish and the Russian kingdoms. It was well worth the short bus ride for us to visit this nearly 700-year-old relic of feudal times. The following day, we were able to arrange that survey that our insurance company required. Thanks to Lars Erik Hagblom and from the company Almer. Thanks for the very timely and excellent work. It's much appreciated. We really needed it, and you guys squeezed us in. Also much appreciated, as always, is local knowledge. These young gentlemen, marina staff and university students, one in engineering right now, were very helpful. For the low price of a beer, they happily shared their knowledge and helped us select harbors to visit on our way to Helsinki. The archipelago has hundreds of islands, big and small, with thousands of spots to lay over, and they helped us choose. Directly beside our berth is the museum ship Palmern. It spent its life doing year-long round-trip voyages to Australia. Wow, Finland to Australia. It is the only 4-masted bark in the world that's still in its original configuration. They delivered timber from Scandinavia all the way to Australia and returned with grain on these long voyages around the Cape Horn. Her last commercial voyage around that cape was in 1939, and she was fully a sailing ship with no power propulsion at all. And they made it around that dangerous cape many times, right up to the beginning of World War II. With the survey completed and some advice on ports, we're on our way.
We are heading out of Mariehamn, Aland, and into a place called Daggerby. I don't know where.
Daggerby has a nice little dock, but it's a little crowded. We arrived early and tied off with our bow pointing towards the prevailing winds that we expected tonight. And then over the next several hours, more boats did the same. It's a good thing that everyone had lots of fenders. And here, for the first time, we start seeing Finnish boats. First, we see some swans. A little 30-footer, A baby swan? Is that a cygnet?
Big swan. Something else.
And then all the way up to this big 53-footer that tied off.
The Brees, the Baltic. Another boat. We've never had so many boats in such a small place. So everybody ran for cover. We are jammed in here like sardines. It's calm right now. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Wind's going to be blowing out of that direction at 20 knots, gusting to 33 knots. And when that hits the front of this, let's hope all these lines hold. And all these rusty old connections don't fail. That one's holding the breeze. That's the rust. Don't break. That big heavy swan's going for a glide. Dragging that guy with him. And we learned something new today. You see those buoys? How we moor is you sail past that and you snap a line onto a loop on the top of there. Then you sail your boat forward up to the dock and you tie the bow onto the dock. So we haven't done this before. So it's kind of unique. And that's a common thing here. And we're learning. We learned some new things today, which is excellent. Difficult, but we're getting it. Problem with our boat is getting off the front. Most of the boats here are built for this. So the front of the boat has a cutaway for the person at the front to step off. Our boat wasn't built that way. The bow pulpit, the railings on the front of the boat are high. So we got about a 4-foot drop. So you got to step over the 2-foot bow pulpit and then step down 4 feet to the concrete. We're going to have to figure something out to do that a little better. See, this guy's got a ladder to step down, and his bow pulpit's cut away, so you can step out onto that nice little ladder. We don't have that. Ladder. Cut out. Step. Ladder. Cut out. No step. Step. And then there's the breeze. We gotta hurdle this thing. I suppose it's 3 feet up. Step on the anchor, and then swing your leg 2 feet over these rails.
We spend about 36 hours in Daggerby, enjoy a stroll and a restaurant meal, and are ready to leave when the weather breaks. It's not quite 7 a.m., but we're soon on our way. Today, to Korpostrom. Wherever there are 2 sailboats, it's a race. This guy's a local with that F-I-N, Finn, designation on his sail. He's willing to run here with full sails. Unfortunately, as we're newbies here, we're playing it safe, and we are reefed in these 20-knot winds. And unfortunately, we're left behind. We don't often lose, but today, we did. Bummer. Really? Bummer. With full sails, we would have kicked his butt. But not today. This was also a tight harbor, but we'd learned from Daggerby, and we wedged ourselves in, fully utilizing all of our fenders and the help of other boaters. This was a very stressful mooring, and I needed a couple hours off the boat to decompress. Thanks to our neighboring boaters, it all went well, but it was no fun at all. Crappy end to a long day, 41 miles. But it's a friendly and a safe harbor, thanks to the locals. Much appreciated. Early the next day, we make our way to the large harbor of Kasnas. It's a 31-mile trip. We really like this place. Here, we met Sophie and Jorga, and caught up with Sophie again later when we arrived in her home harbor of Helsinki. It was a bit of a twisty route into this harbor, and it was quite busy, but we really enjoyed this place. The second floor restaurant provided a great viewpoint to watch the boats dance, as many all tried to enter at the end of the day. Notice in the middle of the Ukrainian flag here. These Baltic nations, now NATO nations, are very worried about the future. And they're fully supporting Ukraine as the place to stop the aggressor and not let him come here next. This view shows only about a third of the marina and its boats. Next, we're on to Hanko, a racing hub, where they host the Hanko Regatta each year. This day is 23 miles. By the way, we're making these short hops since we're in the middle of a stretch of easterlies, blowing on our nose. Headwinds equals less miles covered in a day.
Good morning. Today is July 20th, and we are in the Finnish Archipelago. We've just left a berth in a marina called Kasnas. And as you can see, there are many little inlets to many little islands. All the islands are granite, and you can see a little boat tucked back in there. That tends to be their way of operating. They know where these little inlets are, and that's where they tuck away. Look at this beauty of a boat coming past us. Ended up being a pretty day. It's supposed to be thunderstorms and yucky, but it doesn't look like it right at this moment, so we'll take the moment while we have it. Definitely the inventor of sparkles and glitter looked out at the sea. Just look at that.
Here is the approach to Hanko. On the left, Finland's fourth biggest port, and on the right, the marina. This is one of the biggest racing hubs in the country where they host the annual Hanko Regatta. Coincidentally, we met another Baltic sailboat here. She's a Baltic 43, and this year she won the Hanko Regatta for the 6th time. It's amazing to me that a near 40-year-old sailboat like ours is still so competitive. Way to go, guys. That 1987 Baltic 43, it's only 5 years newer than ours, but it beat all the other boats here. 6 times.
This is where the Baltic Sea meets the Strait of Finland. We're in this lovely town, Hanko. It's a huge marina. It's on this small rocky island. And we will go on a ferry to get over to town. To go to our favorite grocery store, Little. Can't wait.
There's the Breeze with her black mast. We settled in for a sundowner, watching the fog roll in, while the band warmed up at the bar across the bay.
Okay, I've been around the world. I've been in a lot of countries. I lived in Brazil. I lived in Canada. I worked in the United States. I've been to Europe. And every place I go, now I'm in a beach town in Finland. There is Bryan Adams. Bryan is everywhere. Ugh! Too much Bryan Adams. That's a band across the harbor. Go Bryan.
In the morning, we took a walk to pick up a few provisions and admire the town. The waterfront is a highlight for us. It's clearly a vacation spot for the locals and international visitors as well. And we're on to our next stop, Barrelsund, 23 miles away. It appears it's rather straightforward in this shot on our plotter, but zooming in, we again see the complexities of the archipelago. It is prime sailing ground, gorgeous, but you need to be very vigilant to make your way through. We later met a boat who grounded on rocks in here. This little island is the quietest place that we stayed all summer. We only saw 1 or 2 other people here on these small fishing boats coming and going. Very calm. There were only 2 other sailboats here, both locals, and there wasn't even any place to pay for our berth. It's a quiet night, then an early rise for our next stop, Porkele, 31 miles. Again, with an east wind on our nose.
Today is July 22nd, and we are on our way from Brago to Porkala. Porkala. It's a beautiful day. We're on the Hanko to Helsinki highway.
I haven't mentioned the swans yet. The birds this time, not the boats. We have seen more swans here than anywhere else. We have tundra swans back home, but they're just migrating through the Grand Bend area to the Arctic. And we also have swans in the Detroit River in LaSalle, near Fighting Island. There's so many swans here in these islands. It's beautiful. We squeak into Porkella along the dock with just enough draft to not run into the sand. This is another pretty little place, and it fills up with boats as the afternoon progresses. These guys recognized our flag and were very surprised to see us here. They were traveling through also, but had never seen a boat from across the Atlantic in their islands. After a short hello and a little chat, they gave us a very safe bottle of wine from their vineyard in Italy. This bottle of wine's never going to sink. Very nice, guys. Thank you. We really enjoyed meeting you and having some wine. And now the final push to Helsinki. Yep, you guessed it. Winds on the nose and lots of islands to negotiate. We were able to sail for a few hours, but mostly motored these final 22 miles. Past the time, I grabbed the stainless steel polish and a toothbrush and I started a little cleaning. And I found something that you never want to find. The turnbuckle for one of our cap shrouds, the rods that hold up our 62-foot mast, is cracked. This is bad. But the good news is that we found it before it actually broke. That could have caused us to lose our mast. Whew, found it. It's great luck finding that cracked turnbuckle. Now it should be relatively easy to replace, if we can find a new one. Otherwise, we'll be stuck. We can't continue on like this. After we dock in the afternoon at this pretty little sailing club on an island in the Helsinki harbor, we'll begin the search for a new one. And as we enter, we see our first warships, gunboats. Finland's navy is on edge. With Russia as a neighbor and their naval base just about 60 miles away, they're standing watch. This will become a theme as we make our way around the rest of the Baltic Sea. Many warships from many nations standing watch and training.
So unfortunately it's very windy today coming into Helsinki. There she is. It's July 23rd, 2024. It's been quite a day. We were supposed to have about 6 knots of wind on the nose, and we ended up with 10 and 12, pretty constant, and gusting up to 15.
NJK is a lovely little marina with a restaurant, sailing school, and ferry to the mainland every 30 minutes. We'll spend several days here, really enjoying what Helsinki offers and waiting on a few boat parts. Our next passage will be to Estonia. But that's it for this episode. We'll see you next time, somewhere beyond the sea.